The dress I wore to Atlanta Frocktails was not done. But I wore it anyway. And I want to thank June's Journey for sponsoring today's video, but more on them in a little bit. How did I get here? That was not satisfying. Let me show you. I knew I wanted to use this amazing 1960s vintage cotton fabric that I had picked up from the giant estate sale I purchased in 2023. But I couldn't decide what pattern I wanted to use. So I went to my Instagram and let them choose. And since this pattern is so much smaller than my current measurements, it was time to trace it out. Dear viewer, you may be thinking that I'm about to unfold yet another factory folded pattern. This time, you would be wrong. This pattern was previously cut out by the other owner, so it did involve me actually checking to make sure it was complete. And thankfully, it was. Now, this being a tailored look, I did actually iron out my pattern pieces. These are the only tools I use to trace. And when I'm done, I always lay them on top to make sure I don't miss any markings. And with the tracing complete, it was time for my least favorite part of sewing, math. But while I think on the mental math of this cluster, let's talk about what isn't a cluster. The sponsor of today's video, June's Journey. June's Journey is a hidden mystery seek and find game where you're traveling along with June as she hunts for the killer of her sister. Honestly, this is one of my favorite mobile games to play, and truly one of the only mobile games I play, as is noted by my level that I'm at. Each level takes you through beautifully designed 1920s visuals as you help June to discover who killed her sister. And honestly, sometimes I feel a little bit like our strong-willed Miss June because, you know, I'm never gonna stop fighting to find the most glorious vintage patterns. And June doesn't rest either. I also really like that there are always new special events happening as well, because personally for me, the hidden energy games are my personal favorite. Not only do you get to play the regular levels, but also you get to play these bonus extra levels where it uncovers more of the backstory. And the best part is, it's totally free to download. So join me in playing June's Journey today. You can either click the link down in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. And it's available to play on Android, iOS, and PC. And thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring the video. But now, I gotta get back to this project. And with the bravery, aka ignorance, of a mildly skilled but definitely chaotic sewist, I headed over to size up my tracing. And while I consider myself a novice when it comes to sizing up a pattern properly, I will share with you what I learned. First up, using the standard divider sections on this more tailored bodice wasn't as clear-cut as I first thought. But once I had figured it out, I adjusted it in the increments in Mrs. Depew's book. It was at this moment, dear viewer, that I realized I should put some registration marks on these now cut out pieces, because otherwise I was never going to get them to line up. Well, I hate to tell you folks, but I've already done the full reaction to this. I didn't record any of that, but my button didn't push. It didn't start recording because my camera is acting up. So you'll get round two, the summation of this. First up, proud of myself for the fact that all the seams lined up. That is amazing. What I am concerned with currently is that when you find the center front, I don't mind the closed-in neck. That's fine. That's 50s. I will probably put the buttons here so that I have a bit more neckline. So I'll lower that down about 2 inches. These darts way too high. Way too high. Like that's above the apex of my boob. So these are gonna go down to the first note here, and then I'm gonna taper it in differently. What concerns me currently is I feel like these boob pocket things are too high. Now, they're not interfaced on this version, they're just there. So I think if they were to look like that, it would look better. I don't know if it's gonna look good. And there's just too much under here, but that I think is because of the dolman sleeve thing. This is all one, it's supposed to be like all one thing. It's not, so you need some room, but what I was noticing is I can't really go above hang 10 mode here, or jazz hands, because if I try and raise my hand, I'm gonna tear things. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go add a little like alligator. I keep forgetting that the 1950s dolman sleeve isn't really for me because it rounds my shoulders more than they're already rounded, which we don't need any help in that aspect. I've got that covered. So I'm gonna sleep on this. I'll see you tomorrow. I slept on it and cut off more of my mock-up. Oh yeah, that's much better. So I moved on to the important step of cutting out my vintage fabric, which of course wasn't stressing me out at all, knowing that I've never seen this before. I probably will never see it again, and if I screw this up, there is no more to buy. These are the intrusive thoughts that happen every single time I do a project with vintage fabric. However, if I can do it, so can you. For the skirt pocket interfacing, I went with this vintage horsehair canvas that I had, which, while it was lovely, I would not recommend. But for the upper pockets and the button placket interfacing, I used some badly sun-faded cotton organdy I found in a Florida garage attic one time. I would recommend this one. And then it was time to pack out. And once I was safely ensconced in my hotel room, it was time for bed.
The next day.
The next day started with my class at Top Stitch Atlanta, where I was graced with this glorious setup of all these sewing machines so that folks could learn to re-thrift, like my bedsheet dress. Everyone had a lovely time, and then it was time for the social, which I took literally by meaning to sew for the entire time. And then it was party time. Also known as the time where we needed to test the lights to make sure they all worked and that the red carpet wouldn't trip anyone. And by we, I mean everyone else, because I was sewing. Would it really be one of my videos if we didn't finish the project in the hotel room? No, it really wouldn't. But hang on, because I physically can't move. So readjusting, and then we'll start sewing. What did I do? Why are you so wrong? Okay, I think at this point, I'm too overwhelmed to continue forward. So I'm gonna call it a night for the filming, and I'm just gonna focus on sewing, because I need to get this done.
The next day.
Good morning. From the teeniest coffee cup. It's Saturday, friends. That is the day of Frock Tales. Is my dress done? No, it's not. My dress is still in pieces. This is the yoke and the back that is not attached to a skirt. Should I just entirely focus on this dress so I can get literally everything done today? Yes, I should. Because objectionably, at this point, I have the skirt done, I have the bodice back sewn to the yokes, I have the front sewn, interfaced, and almost ready to go together as a full bodice front. So I should just stay here and do that, right? Or we can go to Fine Fabrics. Let's go. Okay, so we did all right. We didn't do too much damage. We did good.
A few moments later.
Okay, here we go. We are back in the hotel room, and we have exactly 3 hours and 55 minutes until this event starts. So, I guess I should get sewing. All right, and the nice thing about being in a hotel room with a friend that sews is that she's gonna help me. She's gonna do the nice hem for this as opposed to the sad thing that I put in last night. And then that means I can take on pinning the yoke to the bodice and getting that as correct as I possibly can. So let's dive in. Go ahead, Haley.
I almost lost the singular needle Stephanie brought for hand sewing.
One singular sensation.
Singular sensation.
And I asked Stephanie if she brought a hand sewing needle after I had pressed up the hem to hand sew it. And she goes, huh, and wasn't sure.
Listen, they're not wrong. So this is where we're at. It's not sitting correctly, but that's because I just tossed it on my body. But it does look better than the mock-up. So we'll take the wins where we can get them because jinkies. Okay, next up, I think is all the interfacing and collar stuff. So let's go do that. So this is the point where you should baste the interfacing in and then do it nicely and then put the other side and do it all nicely. That's not what's about to occur. Okay, sometimes you gotta check and make sure your zippers aren't crap. Also, Haley is now taking the zipper of the skirt. That's what's happening. So listen, it is 4:02 and we really need to be leaving by like 5:15, like ready to go. So I have just a little over an hour, and this is still just the bodice. I'm gonna go sew the underarms closed. I'm going to attach the bodice to the skirt, and then I'm going to move as fast as humanly possible. So I don't know if this is possible, but by God, I'm gonna give it the good old Canada Challenge try. That's not a thing, but here we are. I regret everything, and I'm gonna lay on pins and it's gonna stab me, isn't it? Oh, I didn't get stabbed, amazing. All right, we're gonna sit here and hear the world's worst ion on the face of the planet, hand stitch some zipper in place, and talk about this with the couple minutes I have left. The good things are, we have a vaguely done dress, right? We're here for it. Round of applause for vaguely done dress. Didn't honestly know if that was going to happen. Truly, this was not a joke. I'm wearing this dress because this was the backup dress. Proud of myself for doing that. Other good things. Oh, proud of myself for actually sizing up correctly. Things that could have been better. Obviously, leaving myself more time would have been a spectacular idea. Even after I made the adjustments, I just think this pattern is not suited for the way that I am shaped. And you know what? That is okay. I'm also doing the world's worst backstitch, so we're just hoping it just vaguely stays. It just needs to stay for tonight. Yep, that's just where we're at. But it is gonna be done. It is gonna be wearable, even if this thread is gonna be a pain in my ass. Let's finish these stitches and go to frock tails for the reveal. But this is not where our story ends, because I knew that I would not be happy with this unfinished dress hanging in my closet. So as soon as I got home, I ripped it in half.
That was rude.
That was not satisfying. This is so unsatisfying. Finally. Because I do actually know, vaguely, how to make it fit my body better. But what I find many times is that while I have the best of intentions with finishing a project such as this, I get stopped by the frustration of the fact that it wasn't right the first time. That's better. So whether it was this video or the fact that I truly love this fabric just that much, I actually went back and fixed it the way I knew I should. Thank June's Journey for sponsoring today's video. And if you want to join me in playing this awesome free 1920s mystery game, make sure that you're clicking the link down below in the description or scanning the QR code here on top. But now, let's go see all these changes I made to this dress in the final reveal. Oh God. Now I got it. Oh Jesus. Oh Lord. Yep. Let go of my dress. Sorry, also trying to use all of the remaining brain cells to think about how to do this pocket moment. And honestly, I don't know how much I terribly care. I do care enough not to see it that much though. She says she doesn't care and then she immediately cares.